What's up, people? It's me, Charles Francis from Ground Level Coaching, and I'm here to hit you again with another simple Monday reflections. And today, I want to talk about your library. What's your library looking like? Do you even have a library? And if you do have a library, does it reflect the type of person that you are? So, check it out now. When before you used to go to work or you're commuting to somewhere, you always see people like they're on the tube or the buses and they're engulfed in newspapers, or they're reading like the daily newspaper, or they're on their phone looking through social media, Instagram or Facebook. And I'm gonna say this bluntly, but for the most part of it, it's rubbish that they're listening to or they're watching or reading. It's rubbish. And I say rubbish because although it may be entertaining them, to the most part, it's not enhancing their life in any way. It's not giving them anything tangible they can go back and use to benefit themselves in any way. But they're still going through it. And it's no surprising that the time when they reach their destination, when they get to work in the morning, they're ready to entertain all this stupid negativity. Who's done this and who got this sacked and who slept with who and what's the new, what country's at war, what's the new legislation. There's no wonder why they're ready to entertain all that, because it's just an extension of what they've been reading and what they've been listening to on their way to work. And then you couple what they're putting into their minds with the first thing they put into their bodies, was this food laced with sugar. No wonder why people's stress levels are so high. We're literally slowly literally killing ourselves by the things we put in our mind and the things we put in our body. So coming back to my question is, what's your library looking like? What are you feeding your mental factory with? What is your library looking like? Because, and it's so important because, they say knowledge is power. Now, we all know that it's not just knowledge is power, it's the correct application of knowledge that can lead to a powerful transformation. But before you can apply any knowledge, you have to acquire it first. Now, we all have some form of knowledge anyway, because I could start a conversation now about absolutely anything, and you could join in that conversation. You don't even have to know about the topic that I'm talking about, but to some degree, you'd be able to still join in that conversation. And that's probably because you're going to use a bit of common sense and just a bit of general conversation around it. But if you wanted to have any meaningful conversation or a meaningful understanding about my knowledge field topic I'm talking about, you'd really have to have some specific knowledge. Your general knowledge wouldn't suffice you for that. So if we want to really get some meaningful knowledge that we can apply to our lives to make a difference and really get a skillful understanding about it, then we have to actively seek this information out. We have to go and learn this information, and we have to learn it from people who have already experienced it. People who have spent years of their time and invested their money in learning and studying that field. People that, have learned from their past mistakes and found a better way to achieve whatever it is they achieved in that specific field. We have to acquire that knowledge from these people. And there's different ways we can acquire knowledge. I mean, we can do it one-on-one in person. If you meet someone, the good old-fashioned apprenticeship style. You can learn it through media outlets, listening to podcasts, listening to going to workshops or listening to people's testimonials. There's so many things you can learn it, but I want to talk to you about the good old-fashioned reading. That's why I said it was a library. Talking about the good old-fashioned reading, because there's something different, or I like to say magical, about reading. It's a bit like the difference between writing on a piece of paper and then typing on a keyboard or typing on your phone. It's a big difference. For some reason, when you're reading and you're repeating what you're reading, it sinks in on a deeper level. It's just like when you're writing and you're writing, that act of writing is very different with a pen and paper. Is very different to when you're typing. Sometimes what I like to say is what we write, we invite into our lives as well. It's a bit like reading. It goes into that deeper level. So, and also, look at all the advancements we've made in this world. Technology, all this, we've made so much advancements, but the leaders still haven't abandoned the good old-fashioned reading and writing. From schools, we still teach it in the schools. We could theoretically, we could actually say, look, there's no need to any read and write no more. We've got computers, we've got typewriters. We've got computers, we've got visuals, we've got actually audios. And we don't really need to write and read anymore. But we all know that there's something valuable, there's something very significant about that creative way of learning, reading and writing. And that's why we've kept it as the basis and the foundation for young people and us adults as well. So what's your library looking like? If I was to go into your house and display the books on your shelf, what would it tell me about you? You see, every successful person has their own library. Some of them dedicate a whole room to books and everything that they have. Some of them have just a large bookshelf, but they certainly all have a library. And not just any library. In that library, there will be an array of books that is based on whatever it is that they specialized in. If you was to go in their house, you would look at their library and say, oh, no wonder why this person's so knowledgeable about animals, or no wonder why this person's a doctor, no wonder why this person's a pilot, because their library would reflect that. They would have books on information on that subject field. You know, so you too have to start to create your library so it reflects the type of person that you want to be, or the things that you want to do, or the things that you want to have in your life. Your library can reflect that. You see, let me tell you something. When you're reading, that act of reading, you know, you're seeing the world from the eyes of that author. You get to experience a little bit of what that person experienced. You get to see what that person's done to achieve whatever it is they've achieved in life. You get to learn shortcuts, past mistakes that they've made, so you don't have to make those same mistakes to achieve that same thing. You get to learn the obstacles that may come in your way and better ways of how to handle it because of the way they've handled it. And the most important thing is you get to see it's possible. Look, if they've done it from where they've come from and they've achieved it, why not you? You can do it as well, you know, and you get to see that from reading, from learning, from just taking off from what they've shared in their books and their testimonials and sharing with you what they've accomplished, and you get to do that from reading. So reading is something so important and something so significant in reading. It's the best way to stimulate your mind and your brain to keep it active. There's many different reasons why people read. Some people read for relaxation, some people read because they're bored. But, you know, at the end of the day, even if you're reading rubbish, like I said before, it's still better than not reading at all. You know, because just that act of stimulating your brain of reading, even if it's rubbish, at least when you do eventually wake up and decide to start reading something meaningful, your brain will still be used to reading. You know, it will still have that cycle going. Whereas if you stop reading at all, then suddenly your brain will get used to that. It will just start shutting off. And that's a big area of knowledge that you will no longer have or no longer be exposed to because you've shut off that avenue of reading. It's the big old saying, there's what you don't use, you're going to eventually lose. So you have to keep that brain active in reading and reading. And there's different ways you can do that. I mean, why not set yourself a little challenge? Reading 5 pages a day, just 5 or 3 pages a day of a book, and slowly you're going to see yourself complete that book from start to finish. And not only are you going to feel great about finishing that book and then going on to the next book, but also you're going to be more knowledgeable and more wiser as a result of it. And then it's going to start adding to building up your library. So when people go into your house and they start seeing your array of books and your array of, you know, articles, they're going to say, oh, no wonder why you have this viewpoint. No wonder why you know so much about this. Oh, I can see why this and that. It's because your library reflects it. Your library reflects the type of person that you are. I mean, if you used to go and see my library, you're going to see I've got an array of books, exciting, you know, powerful, knowledgeable books. You know, I love those books. And it's a bit like Jim Rohn said, I was wise enough to go and buy them. Now I need to be wise enough to spend time to read them. I mean, I've read a lot of them, but not all of them. And don't worry, I will get through them. It's just about staying consistent and persevering through them and enjoying it as well. Because you don't want to just rush things for the sake of rushing things. You want to actually enjoy what you're reading and being able to apply it. Like we said, it's the correct application of knowledge that creates transformation. Not just having the knowledge itself. You know, there's a lot of people that are very knowledgeable and they do nothing with it because they haven't applied what they've learned. So slowly as you start to apply. But guys, it's really a fundamental thing, reading. And I want to ask you, it's a question. I want to ask you, what one book could you actually recommend to someone? What one book did you read that had an impact, a profound impact in your life? Maybe you've even changed the course of direction of your life. What one book was that you could maybe recommend to someone else that may be able to help them start to see a new light, see a new vision, a new mission in their life, to start to change things for them. Because sometimes all it takes is one book, you know. One book can change your whole course of direction of life. You know, sometimes all it takes is one book that you didn't know and someone else could recommend it to you. So what one book could you recommend, even myself, to read? I'm always up for reading new books. Maybe you can post later and you can put a little comment of what one book you would recommend for me to read. You know, guys, stay active. Make your mind stimulated all the time. Try to embrace new different books and stuff like that, and try to slowly just get from start to finish of a book, and then increase your knowledge in that way. So I like the good old fashioned of reading. So that's why I really want to ask you guys, what's your library? Let people come into your house and say, no wonder why. No wonder why. Now I know that this person, now I know you are the way you are, because you've invested your time and money in creating a library that reflects you. Guys, it's me, Charles Francis, on Ground Level Coaching. I always love talking to you, my people, and I thank you very much for taking the time to listen to these posts that I'm putting out. And I hope it does something for you. I really do. Guys, click the link below, subscribe to my channel. If you've got a comment, say a comment. I'd love to hear your views. I love you all. Stay blessed. This world is amazing, and you all are amazing. Show the world that part of you. I'm out. Peace. One love.